On today's menu is a chicken curry that you will frequently see on the menu cards of Indian restaurants. It is packed with flavor, easy to make if you follow my directions step by step with my own twist into it, and you are going to love it. Namaskar and welcome to Curries with Bumbi. Heat a pot over medium heat with a tablespoon of oil. Once the oil gets hot, add garlic cloves, which I didn't even bother to chop, along with roughly chopped ginger. Stir on medium to low heat till the garlic gets these little specks of browning on them. Do not wait for them to turn too brown in color, as then they will get bitter, resulting in the gravy tasting bitter. And we are not making bitter garlic flavored chicken today. Okay, I also added 6 green cardamoms and 4 cloves. As soon as you see those little brown spots appearing on the garlic, it's time for the onions to go in. I have used 3 large onions for this recipe. 2 of them I chopped up roughly as you are seeing on the screen now. The third one I chopped finely and will be coming up later on. Stir the onions on medium-high heat till they start to soften down and become pale in color, with some of them starting to develop a little brown color along the edges. At that point I used 2 roughly chopped large tomatoes. If you are making this at a time when the tomatoes are not in season, then just follow up to the point of frying the onions and go to the next step. After adding the tomatoes, fry them on medium-high heat for a few minutes, then cover on for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, when you start seeing the tomatoes turning a bit soft, switch off the heat and transfer everything onto a bowl. Allow it to cool down completely because we will be blending all this. Once cooled down, blend everything to a smooth paste. Coming back to the pot, I have cleaned it and it is ready for the next step. Medium heat, 3 tablespoons of oil go in. Once the oil turns hot but not smoking hot, add about half a teaspoon of cumin seeds, that is jeera, and a small cinnamon stick. Then comes that third onion that I had mentioned earlier. Add a sprinkle of salt and stir on medium heat till the onions develop a golden brown color. While the onions are getting fried, I will make a spice paste. 2.5 tablespoons of Madras curry powder, about 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri red chili powder. If the Madras curry powder you are using is very hot, then please add paprika instead of chili powder. The Madras curry powder that I am using is relatively mild, so that's why I am using Kashmiri red chili powder. I used a little less than a teaspoon of turmeric powder as my Madras curry powder already has some turmeric powder added to it. Add 1/4 of a cup of water, stir, and your spice paste is ready. Back to the onions. We are looking for this kind of a situation, not too brown, but we can see that browning along the edges. Heat low and add the spice paste. I added a little bit of water in the cup to rinse out all that spice goodness. Fry for a few minutes. Now is the time to add a tablespoon of what is known as tomato paste here in the US, but I think in the UK it is known as tomato puree. Fry everything for a few minutes and add the chicken. I always like using chicken with bones, and I will always highly recommend using chicken thighs or drumstick, or a combination of both, but I never use chicken breast. Heat back up to medium-high and fry till all the water that comes out from the chicken dries up. As you can see, there is no water in there now, so add the fried garlic, ginger, onion paste. I also added a little water to my blender jar to get all that goodness till the last drop. Now remember, my friends, I told you that if you are making this at a time when tomatoes are not in season, then you can use about half a cup of canned crushed tomatoes. Next goes in about 2 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of dried fenugreek leaves, that is kasuri methi, which you need to crush well before adding to release the flavors, and about a teaspoon of sugar to balance the acidity from the tomatoes. But sugar is always optional, and you can leave it out if you are concerned. Cover on low heat for 20 minutes. This recipe calls for a thick gravy, so cover it partially if you find a lot of liquid in your pot. After 20 minutes comes in a cup of coconut milk. If you like the flavor of coconut, you can use 1 whole can of coconut milk. Do a taste test at this point, and if you want more heat, then add more chili powder like I did. As I always tell you, when it comes to chili powder, add less than the stated proportion to start with. You can always add at the end, but once added, you cannot take out that heat. I won't cover the pot now as I want the gravy to get thicker. Cook on medium-low heat for another 20 minutes. Now my friends, my gravy was getting too thick and my family likes a little bit of gravy. So at the end I put a cover on. 20 minutes done, I added a generous shower of chopped coriander leaves and a tablespoon of lemon juice. You can also use a teaspoon of tamarind paste or maybe a tablespoon of tamarind sauce instead of lemon juice. There is another step left that I will be showing after plating up. I am doing that step after plating up for presentation purposes, but when you are making this, please do it in your pot. Heat a small pan over medium heat and then add a tablespoon of ghee. Do not allow the ghee to start smoking, but when it gets hot, add 3 dried red chilies and then a handful of curry leaves. I know many of you won't be able to get curry leaves, then please do not worry, just use dried red chilies. But please try to follow this step as it adds so much flavor to the curry. This is my twist to the recipe and I wanted to share it with you all. And then add the aromatic magic goodness to the chicken and let it do its magic. And remember my friends, do not do this after plating. Add it to your pot of chicken directly and give a final stir before plating up. Please click on that like button for me and I will see you next time. Bye bye.